Hey everyone, welcome to this live Q&A around Amazon and how COVID's affecting the Amazon ecosystem and environment. I have a few topics that I would like to talk about, but I'll primarily be fielding all the questions from you all out there. So go ahead and drop your questions for me in the chat box. I'm looking at the chat box, I'll be monitoring them, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. I would also just like to know how everyone's doing. This is obviously a time where there's a lot of changes in our life and maybe some uncertainty with your business in particular. We've seen some people whose sales are just through the roof and other people are hurting a little bit more. So it's just a time of change, which is always a difficult time. So let me know how you're doing in the chat box. All right. Until some of those questions pop in, I'm going to go ahead and take some of the pre-submitted questions. The first one is, I've been a little under the weather the last several days, but back to work now. Are you guys at Jungle Scout finding any problems sourcing and manufacturing products from China right now with the coronavirus? Should we go about business as usual? My factories have begun manufacturing again, and my understanding was speaking to other Amazon sellers that it seems like almost everyone's back to manufacturing. Now, they may be a little bit slower, or there may be a queue and you're a little bit further back in the line, but from what I can tell, just about all the factories are back up and running. Is it safe to import from China because of the new coronavirus? I believe my answer to this would be yes. The reason that I say that, or the reason I would say it's not more dangerous than importing from anywhere else or making the goods yourself, would be, at this point, the coronavirus has pretty much affected the world's population, maybe with the exception of a few small little areas. The reported rate of those infected by coronavirus in China is lower than places like the US or some of the other more affected areas. Regardless of all that, though, the latest study that I read said that the virus can only live on cardboard surfaces for like 24, 48 hours. Some of the other surfaces a little bit longer. But all that being said, even if there were the virus on your particular product, really by the time they shipped it and it got to you, it most likely have died, from what I can tell from my research. All right, a lot of questions coming in fast. Leonard said, what do you need to do to source a wooden product from China? The process for sourcing a wooden product is similar to all the rest. Depending on the type of wood, there may be additional importing requirements or regulations. The best person to ask about that is going to be your freight forwarder. There's no good singular source of kind of like customs or import requirements that's easy to read that I've ever found online. The best thing to do is just to ask your freight forwarder about it. Chris said, as a new seller, this is a great time to work on listings, etc. Is it wise to do my first order and delay my launch? As I heard Amazon is suspending storage fees. If so, for how long? I would not delay your launch. I would go ahead and place your first order. The only thing that would be detracting me from this, I guess, would be if you weren't able to send that into Amazon. That being said, they have already started to allow more new inventory coming into their system, and by the time you get a product manufactured and shipped to Amazon, I would believe that they'll be accepting all products again. What kind of delays can we expect at customs? I haven't really heard or seen any right now. I don't really know how that's going to be affected in the future, though. My product's made in China, and I got asked where it's made. How do you deal with buyers that are concerned where your product is made? I don't know if there's too much you can do about this. The fact of the matter is it's going to be manufactured where it's going to be manufactured, and there's going to be a certain population of people who, for whatever reason, don't like that it was manufactured in that region of the world. I think that this is, at this point, probably a very low percentage, and I wouldn't be too worried about it. But I mean, I always just err on the side, or I always just am honest about this and just say, hey, this is where it's manufactured. Is it smart now to start with Amazon FBA in general or drop shipping? Yeah, I mean, it's a great time to start Amazon FBA. The sales on Amazon are, as a whole, are elevated right now. The exact percent, hard to tell. My guess is 20 to 30% total. Now, some people have been negatively affected and their sales are worse right now, but other people have been positively affected and their sales are much higher. I believe that in the relatively near term, midterm, in future, that sales on Amazon are going to continue to improve, or are going to improve and stay inflated. So I think now is a great time. Kate said, new life, homeschooling a 7-year-old, been home for 21 days. Man, that's really tough. I definitely feel for all the parents out there that are used to their kids being in school and now they're trying to work and take care of them and do everything else. That would be really hard. Any insights about Amazon Posts and the new live stream video casting? Has anyone utilized it yet? I have not utilized it yet, so unfortunately I don't have too much information for you. We should do one soon and make a video about it. The only research data I'm getting in Jungle Scouts around coronavirus and alcohol gels. Is that okay? I don't think I quite understand your question. I'm sorry. Our products focused on weddings and parties and our sales have dropped. How do you start preparing for this when things get back to normal? Yeah, so that would, anything around the travel industry or things like that, it makes sense that your sales have been negatively affected. How would I prepare for it? Hard to say. I mean, I think for this one, you're kind of just going to have to ride out the storm a little bit. Right now, it's really hard for me to try to predict when kind of like weddings are going to go back to normal. Like, for example, if all of the spring weddings are canceled, does this mean there's going to be twice as many in the fall, or there's still going to be some looming effects then? I don't really know. I'm sorry. Do you foresee any fundamental change in Amazon's approach to FBA? Long term, no. Right now, they're not accepting some types of items that they've deemed non-essential. I don't have any reason to believe that they're going to change their long-term approach on FBA. I think if you would have asked me this 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, like, okay, over time, it's going to be Amazon's goal to just sell all products and not, have any third-party sales or not have a third-party marketplace. But statistics would kind of tell us otherwise. Each year, for as long as we have history, the percentage of sales on Amazon made by third parties have increased. So now more than half of sales on Amazon are from third parties. And the reason that I think this is going to continued to be a trend and continue to stay true is that Amazon, I believe, makes just as much or maybe even a little bit more of a profit on third-party sales because it's like that guaranteed 15% commission. Whereas I know on some of the other products they sell, their profit margins are actually less than that 15%. So like, I think that it fundamentally makes business sense to continue with FBA, and I think that's why they'll continue to do it. Is the Jungle Scout product research data still accurate? Yes, we're continuing to update it. As you'll see, if you go in and look at these really hot items like hand sanitizer or masks, the sales are really high. And probably if you go to look at other things like travel-related items, you'll see that they're probably lower. Will Amazon start accepting new inventory after April 5th? So they actually just put up a Q&A on this, I think yesterday. Someone asked, will you be restoring regular operations on April 5th? They said, given the impact of COVID is still developing, we do not have an exact date when operations will be fully restored. Instead, whenever possible, we allow more products to be received while still ensuring our fulfillment centers are able to process the high priority products. So it sounds to me like that means no, that starting April 5th, they're not going to open up all shipments. But I do know for the past, let's say, week that more and more sellers have been reporting more things available, or that Amazon's accepting more and more items. I've even noticed that. I noticed like my baby towels are now accepted, whereas at first they weren't. Allure said, my product's soap related. Facebook ads are flagging all my products and not allowing me to run ads because it's sanitation related. What alternative advertising methods do you recommend? Assuming you sell on Amazon, I would definitely recommend using the advertising platform on Amazon. Besides that, I know there are like other platforms that essentially purchase media space across the internet that have much lower kind of like requirements, restrictions. I'm not really familiar with any of them though, so sorry. Are product research numbers skewed because of COVID-19? No, they should be fine. Okay, for newbies, how do we research during this market? They're saying the data is skewed because some items are selling better right now because of this situation, which that makes sense. So I guess from that standpoint, yes, the types of product or the consumer behavior and what they're purchasing has changed. The sales numbers we're giving you are still accurate for those products, but you can kind of think of it like a seasonal time. You know, if you were to do product research right before Christmas, like toy sales would be through the roof, and then a few months later they'd be much lower than that. So what I recommend is there's a few things you can do. Inside of the Jungle Scout extension, if you click on the sales number, it will actually show the historical sales. So it'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4 years worth of historical sales information. That's helpful. Inside of Jungle Scout, when you go into Keyword Scout, the keyword research tool, you can research relevant keywords, and you can click it to drop down and it will show you the historical search volume. Let me actually just try to share my screen here. All right. So if I go into, so actually let me do this real quick. So I'll do like soap. While that loads, let me pop over here. You can go into Keyword Scout. Same thing, let's try like soap. You're able to expand the historical search volume. And as you can see, soap sales have really increased a lot in the past, looks like 1 month. So this is one way you can determine seasonality or if it's a spike right now. Another way you can do it is inside of the opportunity finder. Let's just hit search there. So on inside of the Jungle Scout extension, I can see the historical sales volume. So I could see, okay, is this elevated right now or is this kind of normal? For this particular product, it was only a partial month. So on this month, yeah, sales were, let's call it about 20% higher. And then inside of Opportunity Finder, there's something called Seasonality. And you can see how the seasonality, or what the seasonality is like for that particular product. And this actually calculates real world demand. So it doesn't matter like what let's call it like normal seasonality is like. Instead, it's showing you how this product's kind of like really behaving. All right. Does Jungle Scout have a feature that lets you know when it's a good time to reorder? Yes, we do. Inside of Jungle Scout, there's the inventory manager. I'll actually show it to you real quick. Inside Jungle Scout, you go over here to inventory, and the inventory manager shows you when it's time to restock, or if it's overstocked, what day to do so. What do you recommend as the first place to go or video to watch to start selling on Amazon? Jesse, the Jungle Scout YouTube channel that you've already found is a great resource. We also have an academy inside of the Jungle Scout tool. I think most people on here would agree that if you start selling on Amazon, you're probably going to end up getting Jungle Scout because it's so helpful when you're finding a product. So I'll just show this to you real quick. Inside of our Jungle Scout tool, we have the academy, and there's tons of really nice high quality videos in here. So for example, this is the very beginning, and it just talks about all the way from the very basics, how you go about selling on Amazon. Any new Jungle Scout features being planned for release in the next 90 days? Yes, we have a lot of exciting stuff that will be released in the next 90 days. Stay tuned. Make sure you're on our email list so we can let you know about them. And yeah, you guys are going to like them a lot. Let's see. Val said, I'm currently in the position of having another order getting shipped. Since sales have dropped and the FBA limitations in place, really in doubt. I would be quite confident that an example given earlier was for a product like for weddings, something like that, or products used to travel right now, things like that. I would be kind of hesitant to reorder some of them right now because it's unknown how long these effects will go for. If it's something that people are using at home and would be using while in quarantine, and the reason your sales have dropped are just because of longer shipping times right now, I personally wouldn't be hesitant to reorder. I would feel good about it and confident that the sales will resume once Amazon starts shipping your product in a reasonable time. Mike said, Greg, do you do mentoring? No, I don't. I just like doing larger things like this where I can chat with lots of people. Leonard said, or Rob said, how do you know where you rank organically on keywords? Again, that is shown inside of Jungle Scout. Inside Jungle Scout, if you go to keywords and then rank tracker, you can actually, for example, I can go to this item, and these are all of, or this right here, the keywords that I'm tracking for this particular product. And if you click on it, you can see the rank history. So this one, I've been at #1 for a while. Let's show one that's a little more exciting. Marshmallow skewers, at one point I was up at 5. So this tracks my rank for this product every day for all these different keywords. So some of them I track a whole bunch of keywords, some not as many, but you get the idea. Let's see here. Tons and tons of questions. Hey Greg, do we need to join Jungle Scout Academy, or watching $1 Million Case Study is enough? $1 Million Case Study is a great resource for learning how to sell on Amazon. What most people tell me who watch Jungle Scout Academy is they really like it because the $1 Million Case Study was done live. So it was really nice, really relevant. The downside of these live videos is they aren't quite as well edited, and they're also kind of like 30, 45-minute sessions once per week. Whereas what's really nice about the Jungle Scout Academy is we've split it up into a whole bunch of little 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos, which we found for most people is a lot easier to consume. So I think most people would tell you that getting into Jungle Scout using the Academy is money well spent. Haroon said, will you be charging more for Jungle Scout in the coming years? I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I think the price is appropriate. We'll reevaluate over time as we continue to add more functionality and more value. Is it the time for us newcomers to launch our product on Amazon, or should we wait? I think now is as good a time as ever. Sylvia said, I was about to place my first order and I stopped because of COVID. What do you think about the best time to resume my business? Honestly, I would do it now. Like, if you're just putting in an order from a factory now, realistically it doesn't get here for 2 months. I can't imagine that Amazon wouldn't be ramped up to fulfill at the rate that they need to 2 months from now. The only exception I would say to that is if you believe it's a type of product that's demand has been severely decreased because people just aren't doing that activity anymore right now, that's when you, I guess, might want to think about it a little bit more. For me, the historical sales numbers are often inconsistent with the current sales number. For example, the current sales estimate is 750. Alexander, the historical sales numbers are kind of just that. They're using the historical data to drive how well that product was selling back then. So it should be inconsistent with the current sales numbers. Like the 30-day estimates, that's approximately how well it's been selling the past 30 days. Whereas like if you look last December or something, that's how well that product was selling that past December. UK is deciding on a 6-month lockdown. How will this affect FBA businesses? Will Amazon continue shipping all orders to customers, or will they only ship essential items? I think that this will positively affect e-commerce. As you can imagine, if like all retail stores are shut down and everything's shut down, there's gonna be a lot more purchasing of everything online. Will Amazon continue shipping all orders, or they only ship essential items? My guess is they'll do all orders. The only reason, from my understanding, that they're only doing essential items right now is because there's just such a big spike in sales at Amazon that they don't have the capacity to ship everything. So they've chosen to ship the essential items because they believe it's for the greater good. Zishan, as Amazon is not receiving products on FBA, how much time do you expect till they start accepting? Should we wait or continue with our product launch? I would guess that by mid-month, so another week, 2 weeks, that Amazon will be accepting all shipments. That's my best guess, just based off of kind of like the progression we've seen the past couple weeks. Alexander said, but when I click on the sales number, the history shows smaller numbers for the current month. It's because the current month is less than, it's like month to date on the current month. So there's only been 3 days of April. So the sales should be much lower. Whereas in the column for the extension, it's like the historical, or it's like the past 30 days. It's not like month to, or yeah, it's not from month to date. Can I plug multiple accounts into Jungle Scout? Yes, you can. You can plug in as many as you want. Cost of keywords, question mark. How do we know what the costs are using the tool? I assume you're asking about inside of Jungle Scout. If you go inside Keyword Scout, we can see over here the estimated exact match PPC bids and broad match PPC bids, as well as the headline search ad bids. So you can just look at different keywords, and these are kind of like the Amazon recommended bid prices. So you can roughly expect that for how much it's going to cost. Let's see. All right, let me get some more recent ones. Greg asked about the extensions are hard to answer. Caitlin, Catalin, can you ask it again? I've had to skip over a bunch because I'm just like so far behind the current questions. Do you recommend doing FBM for now? Yes, I do. Casey, I just received a shipment today that wasn't supposed to be here until April 23rd. Yeah, I think Amazon kind of overestimated how long a lot of those were going to take to ship. But I also think the result of that was less sales for those items being delayed. Lance said, I'm just getting started wholesaling at Amazon. How can I know if the items I want to send to Amazon would be accepted or not? You would have to add the product into your inventory. Here, let me show you what you do. You would have to add the product. So you go right here, add a product, and then you go into, let's see here. I forget where this thing's at now. Into the restock inventory. No. You can create an inventory report, or I always forget where. The page that recommends how many you send in, on that page it will recommend that you send some in if you're eligible to do so. All right. How do you go about sourcing high quality products? Oh, cool. Now we have this little thing. Oh, wait. Wrong one, though. Oh, no. How do you go about sourcing high quality products? This could probably be an entire webinar in itself. The short answer is my preferred method is using the supplier database inside of Jungle Scout, because you can see real import data and where sellers are getting their products from. Alternatively, probably like the second best would be Alibaba. All right. This one says, when using the extension, some pages have lots of low review products that would normally not show up because all the best products are currently out of stock. Probably the best advice I would have for you here is to like look at those products or that sales information. Probably really the best thing you can do right now is use something like Opportunity Finder or Keyword Scout to see the historical data, because you're right, there's just some weirdness right now because a lot of products are out of stock. What's your sales to review ratio? Historically, it was only like 2 or 3%. Once I started doing the review requests inside the orders page, it increased quite a bit, maybe more like 6 or 7 or 8%. I want to link my Jungle Scout account to my Amazon account. It's asking for my number. Where do I find that? You find it here. I'll just show you real quick. I can still see that. You go to account settings, add new. After you click through this, you click right here, log into Seller Central, and it will take you to the page where you find that. All right. Sorry, I have to skip over some. There's so many here. Why is the Chrome extension not working properly on most of the products? I do know that there was an issue with it this morning with some of our servers kind of like being overloaded. I think that should all be fixed now. It should all be good. If you're still having problems or something else wrong, I am unaware of any widespread issues. So I would recommend reaching out to our support team, and they can help you troubleshoot on your computer. Is sourcing from Latin America a better option than China these days? It depends on what you're selling. Some Latin America has a much lower, like the amount of products that you can find that are manufactured in Latin America are much narrower than what you find in something like China. Most people find they need to continue to source in China just because they honestly can't find manufacturers elsewhere. So, I mean, my general opinion on this is China's still king when it comes to manufacturing, but feel free to always look at other options. Let's see. There's a few questions in here that are kind of like, it seems like your specific maybe accounts or computer. If you're having any problems with your membership, or if you've kind of found a bug or anything like that, I would encourage you to just shoot a quick ticket into support. So just support@junglescout.com and see what they have to say. And yeah, we'd be more than happy to help you out on these on kind of like a one-off basis. I'm going to try to answer questions that are relevant for the entire group. Juan, is it a good time to start selling on Amazon? Yes. Zishen said, Greg, you and your company are very supportive. I must say before I ask more question, really hats off after watching the $1 Million Case Study. Thank you very much. It's very nice. How does the ease to rank work? That is a value that we've calculated to estimate how, oh, I forgot to click on these, I'm sorry. This is a value that we calculate based off of the just like overall competition of ranking for keywords. Some factors that play into this is how relevant are the products to the seed keyword. It's also things like if the seed keyword is listed in the title and a few other factors. How do I add several SKUs to one Aysen, one for FBA, one for FBM? This is not how Amazon is set up. Or let's see. I'm sorry. No, you can have one FBA and one FBM for a single Aysen. What you can't have, yeah, so that I think that answers that. To do so, what you do is on the Manage Inventory page, just hit the drop down and just click on Change to Fulfilled by Amazon or Change to FBM. And when you do that, it actually, if you have inventory, it actually just creates a copy, then you can see both of them. A lot of people asking, do you recommend starting an Amazon FBA business right now? My answer to that continues to be yes. I think e-commerce overall is going up and to the right. Nice to take advantage of that. Omar says, can you run Vine, ERP, and Jungle Scout's review tools simultaneously? Yes, you can. Yeah, there's no like, these are kind of each different program. So yes, you can do all of them right or at the same time. Catalan, can I continue my price of $20 for an extension? Sorry, I don't quite understand what you're asking there. I think maybe you're getting mixed up the annual pricing versus the monthly pricing, because the annual pricing is less expensive, but you prepay for an entire year, or the monthly pricing's a little bit higher at a monthly rate. The Opportunity Finder mostly shows COVID-19 related products, for example, thermometer, tissue, soap, etc. Accepting people go in there and try to create the listing before you do it. All right. Tarplus says, hey Greg, I miss you guys. Quick question. You advised to run PPC throughout a product's lifetime. Although I'm making sales from it, it's getting expensive. How do I get organic sales? The high level answer to this is that by being relevant for keywords that people are searching for, by having a listing that converts well, having good reviews and having it fairly priced, that's ultimately how you're going to get sales. When you get more sales and your listing's converting well, you're going to rank higher. Like that's the big picture of how you get organic sales. Now you're probably thinking like, okay, like how do I, like what do I need to do with that? I mean, I'd be looking at your listing, seeing if there's not any optimizations you can make with it. Maybe looking at ways to help get additional reviews like the Vine program. And then as far as PPC, I would also recommend to continue to optimize it. Hopefully you're using manual campaigns. With those, you can continue to optimize them. I think most people have seen PPC prices decrease these past couple weeks, so hopefully the same is true with you. Huron said, when's the next product launch season, especially for Europe? I don't know for sure. We've had a lot of talks about this internally. I think it's likely you can see one from us in 2020. I don't know for sure what marketplace we're doing it in, so we'll see. With COVID, is there more opportunity in wholesale or private label? My initial reaction is that COVID, I don't see any reason why COVID has caused like a bigger difference between those two. I mean, I think it's like the same amount of opportunity in the private label and probably the same amount of opportunity with wholesale. Do you recommend hiring someone to inspect a product shipment before it leaves China? Yes, I do. The exception is probably if it's pretty inexpensive, then I'd probably just take my chances with it. Daniel said, some of my competitors' Aysens have a delivery date of 2 to 4 days. Ours is about 30. Any idea why? Some have a higher BSR. Yeah, Daniel, this is really frustrating. The same thing has happened to me, and I know is happening to other people as well. I think Amazon, I think like whatever algorithm they use to determine which products are essential and which aren't, it's pretty clear that it's, I mean, they probably had to figure this out like in the matter of a few days. I'm sure they had to hack together something. I think it kind of shows because it doesn't seem like it's been applied very consistently. On that note, I have to give them a little bit of leeway because I'm sure that would be like really hard to do, but I unfortunately don't have really any advice for you of how to fix or help with this particular situation. Let's see. How accurate is the opportunity score? I've made a lot of searches and have no data for the opportunity score. That may have been related to an issue we're having this morning that should be fixed now. If it's still not showing, probably what's happening is the opportunity score shows up on search pages. It doesn't show up on an individual Aysen level because it's really difficult to try to say whether or not an individual Aysen's a good opportunity. It's more so like the niche or like kind of that opportunity as a whole. How much time should we use for selecting a product? I mean, most people in here would tell you that it's the most time consuming part of selling on Amazon. Average is probably, for private label, only like 10, 20, 30 hours. Can anyone recommend a company that lends money right now? I'm not that familiar with this particular industry, so I don't have too much advice for you, but maybe if someone else knows, they can drop it in the chat box. The GS1 codes I bought 1 through 10 for my 10 products, will these be enough for 10 product types, or it's one per piece? You have to have one GS1 code per product variation. How does this world work for Canada? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there. I have 3 different versions of a single product that I want to launch. Should I list them together or separately? Comparing them to plastic, metal, and wood, a good, better, and best scenario. I would probably list them together and as variations. I am a dealer of copper water bottles on Amazon India. I'm only getting 2 to 3 sales a day after advertising. How can Jungle Scout help me to increase my sales? Probably one of the most useful things for you for increasing sales is doing good keyword research to see what people are searching for and then creating a well-optimized listing. Jungle Scout just released like last week or 2 weeks ago a brand new, or maybe I think last week, a brand new listing builder and listing optimizer. So I would recommend checking that out. And yeah, I think I think that should help you get more exposure, and the result of that is get more sales. How do you suggest getting inspection done on items coming from China? The 2 biggest companies are VTrust and it used to be called Asia Inspection. Now I always forget the name. Let me look. Kima, Qima. We've used them as well. The manufacturer sent my merchandise with the wrong label to Amazon warehouse. Is there any way to fix this issue? It depends what label you're talking about. If you're talking about the FN SKU, then Amazon can relabel it as long as the UPC is still printed somewhere on there. If it's one of the other ones, I'm honestly not quite sure how that works. You'll have to reach out to seller support. EP said, what do you think of the third-party product finding services? I would recommend for you to do your own product research. I think it's a really integral part of the whole process, and it can kind of be like a make or break thing for a lot of people. So I feel like this should probably be one of kind of your core competencies for kind of like succeeding on Amazon. Give me. Rob said, can you explain how to use the listing optimization score? Yeah, so there's actually some of the new functionality inside of Jungle Scout. If you go into keywords, you see listing builder, and you can create a listing. To do so, you can either open a new list or open an existing listing I have on Amazon. For example, let's just look at one of these. To do so, I'll create a new keyword list. I'm going to create a new one. Actually, let me just select one, just so I can make it quicker. I don't think I have any baby. A lot of keyword lists in here. Oh, there's one. I don't know if it's good or not. Sometimes I just create these crappy ones for demos. All right. I'm going to apply that. Then what I can do is I can process the keywords, so I can remove duplicates. I can do anything else I want to it, so I'm going to go ahead and process that. And now what I can do is this is showing me what words I have on my title, on my bullet points. Right now I don't have any description because I have A+ content on there. And then what happens is so this isn't the real keyword list, but after I put the real keyword list on here, what happens is it tells me which ones that I have and have not used. And then it also shows me how quality my listing is. So I'd want to continue to add the keywords and optimize it until I had this all the way in the green. And it's showing me what I'm missing here. And that kind of helps you know what you need to do. And yeah. And then you can preview it. This shows you how it's going to show up in the listing. Like I said, I don't have a product description here because I have A+ content. And yeah, that's it. Very easy to do. Makes creating highly optimized listings way easier. Joe said, did you know Amazon sold more in the last week than they did for Prime Day week 2019? It's just crazy. Is it usual that suppliers in China raise an MOQ from 1,000 to 10,000 when you ask for your own logo or branding? This depends on what kind of product it is. If it's something that they have to create a new mold, I could see some really big MOQs like this. If they don't have to create a mold from it, 10,000 minimum order quantity is quite high. Mohammed said, can I start a private label for a product that's less than 18 bucks and get progress on private labeling? Yeah, you can do it on these lesser expensive items, and you can think about them as they might not make you the most money in the world, but they are still good opportunities to kind of just learn with. So yeah. Is FBA or FBM a variation? It's neither. It's listed as a different SKU. So let me, 1 second. So what I can do is, I actually told you wrong about the convert. The easiest thing to do is, like, if I go in here and I want to make one of these to also include, let's go down here. Right now these are all set up as FBA, but if I wanted to do one that's FBM, I select from the drop down, click on add another condition. And what I can do here is I can just this time select this one. I'll ship the item myself. I enter my SKU. This one's also new. Oh crap. This is what's going on Amazon there? I'd have to refresh it. But anyway, that's the process. That's how you go about doing it. Amazon's bugging out on me a little. Chuck said, hey Greg, we're a manufacturer that sells on Vendor Central. Will Jungle Scout help with that, or are your products only for Seller Central? Chuck, what I would recommend is shoot us an email at sales@junglescout.com. We actually have a separate product for people using Vendor Central. There's a little bit of information about it on our website. You can also go to our website and just fill out a demo form, but we actually have a different product specifically for people selling on Vendor Central that we can get you hooked up with a demo. Time for about 1 or 2 more questions. Is Alibaba the best? What others besides Alibaba? The other best ways to find products are using the Jungle Scout supplier database. What's really cool about this, let me actually just show you real quick. What's really cool about this is I can see what products have actually been imported into the US, and I can see who else these people's customers are. And the reason, oops, that misspelled it. The reason that this is so cool is I can see who is the manufacturer and who their customers are. So for example, this factory makes backpacks for Cabela's and Bushnell and Steel, the chainsaw company. This one makes them for Osprey Packs, which is a big manufacturer of backpacks. So this data actually comes from import records into the US, so it's all like legit, whereas for example on Alibaba that's user submitted information. So yeah, it's an awesome way to find factories. The other one we haven't talked about yet that's not bad is global sources. All right, it looks like we are out of time for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this Q&A section, specifically how the environment around COVID is changing Amazon. I've really enjoyed listening to or hearing all of your questions. Hopefully you've found enjoyment in it. If you haven't done so already, I would encourage you to subscribe and hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button to make sure that you are notified of these different live streams that we're going to be doing to make sure that everyone stays up to date with the COVID news. Thank you very much. See you next time.